Just make sure I got my shit queued up.
Oh, shit.
Okay. All right. Good evening and welcome to Sick and Wrong, the world source for antisocial commentary. I'm one of your hosts, D. Simon.
And I'm the try-hard bint, Kate Rambo.
Hey, Rambo. Happy episode 800.
Well, not for me, for you. You're the one who's been here for 800 weeks in a row. Well done, D.
800 fucking episodes of Sick and Wrong.
Pop my cork to you.
It's hard to like even fathom that. 800 episodes of this show. I've been recording this show for 15 years of my life. 15 years. Just like try to think about that. Put that in perspective. And since 2006, I've been doing this show. You were like in primary school then.
No, I wasn't.
Probably.
Well, it's just as bad to admit where I was. I was in art college. I was in art college getting my
15
degree.
years ago?
Yes, in 2006, I was in art college getting my contemporary culture and creative writing degree. Go me.
I was like 31 when I started doing the show. And yet we've never missed a week in 15 years. 15 years of doing the show, never missed a week. I was thinking about this. Sick and Wrong is a lot like that kid in high school with the perfect attendance record, but is too stupid to get into an actual like credible university. Do you have people like that in England? Like in the States, these kids, well, there'd be like at the end of the year when they gave out like, honors awards and academic honors and things like that. There'd always be the one award for the kid with the perfect attendance. And you just know that kid's going to like fucking go to community college. Like, because he's just too stupid to get into a university. Yet he's never missed a day of high school.
I work with people who are proud that they've never once used a sick day at work. It's like, what the fuck are you proud of?
I don't even know. I tried to miss as many days as I possibly can at work and at high school. But that's kind of what Sick and Wrong is. We've never missed a week since 2006, but yet barely anyone even listens to us or pays attention to this podcast.
Excuse me.
We're a lot like that kid.
All the cool people listen to us, and especially the patrons who are the coolest of the cool.
I've always found it funny that the people that do, like the rabid fans are super into it, are like, oh, I would never tell my friends or family or coworkers about this show.
Yeah, I love when people are
because we're seriously like the redheaded, mentally challenged stepchild of podcrafting. That's what we are. That's what I'm saying. That's what this show is. But fact of the matter is, we're one of the OG podcasts, one of the original guard of podcasting.
Are.
We got that claim to fame. It doesn't mean anything, but we definitely have that claim to fame, And it's weird though. It is weird. Like this week has been rather odd. I mean, it's been cool getting all like the congratulatory emails and postings and shit like that from all the listeners. But honestly, I never would have thought that I'd still be recording this show. Never would have thought that I've gone through 3 co-hosts,
How long did you think it was going to go for? Were you just like, oh, let's see how well it does?
I knew Wackerly wasn't going to be sticking around for 800 episodes. I knew that. And I kind of figured when we get bored of it, we'll stop doing it, and then maybe a couple hundred episodes, 200 or 300 episodes. I think actually we used to say that we had a contract with the Reach Around Foundation that we'd had to do 330 episodes. So I think a lot of people thought that we were going to be done at 330. And that was an arbitrary number. There was no, obviously
rhyme or reason
to it. But yeah, it's just weird. I never thought I'd be doing it this long. And so this week I was I was going through calls because a lot of people called in. We're going to play a bunch of calls. This is going to be a fun show actually, because we're going to get drunk. It's a jubilee is what this is. Sick and Wrong jubilee. We're going to play some phone calls. We're going to do some emails. We actually have an interview with like the perfect episode 800 guest. We'll get to that in a minute. But anyway, I was going through calls trying to figure out like, hey, what are we going to play on the show? And I found this call, an older call, like from a Scottish listener. And it really hit home. It did. It was weird. I was kind of affected by it. I remember like listening to, because it was kind of late at night. It was around like midnight on a Wednesday. And I went and I poured myself a glass of Templeton rye and I ruminated on it. I was doing some rooming. Let me play the call.
You sound like a chick when she has a period.
Do you ruminate on your period?
That's all chicks do when they have their period is ruminate.
I thought you like brood and
yeah, exactly. Get
emotional.
broody, get moody, get ruminatey. It's what you do.
No, I was like, I was having some deep thoughts. I'm ruminating on this call. Let me play the call.
Let's hear it.
Well, Harrison, you've finally fucking gone into rehab.
It is an old call. So this is like when Harrison went to rehab one of several times.
I'm pretty fucked anyway. So, fair play. To be honest with you, Harrison, I didn't actually get on with you quite as well as I thought at the start. But you know what? You're not too bad.
That always happens. It's like when you get a new host, everybody hates on them, and then those that can't get over it, can't deal with change, stop listening, and then those that do are like, oh, now I actually really like you, and I get on with you. I mean, same deal happened when you came on too.
Yeah, it's happened to me too.
That's human nature.
Too bad at all. But anyway, my question is to D is, I've been listening now since I was 22 years old. I'm about 33 now. And I just want to know why the fuck you still do this podcast, Like,
me too.
Honest to fuck. Like, I would have given up after like show 35, 36. I just wonder, like, why the fuck do you still do it? What motivates you, D, to do this fucking podcast week in, week out, right? On a Friday, right? I finish work, you're thinking, I'm going to go home and I'm going to fire up my laptop and fucking, do this podcast. I feel like that. No, I'm just going to get drunk or stoned or whatever. I just don't get why you're still doing this after like 570 weeks or something. 571 weeks, whatever.
800, dude.
It's craziness. Absolute craziness.
He's right. It is. It's fucking mental. It's utterly mental. Like I was sitting there, I'm listening to this call and I was just like, God, why do I do this every week?
Yeah. Why do you?
It's mental. No, it truly, when you sit back and think about it, it is mental. Like I, come home from fucking work and then on the weekends and I'm sitting there like, you got to like, prepare for the show, do all this research. Then we record and we're recording, hours and you got to edit it every week. It's a lot of work. And I was just like, why am I doing this? Because if you think about it, it's a bit pathological. Like, I don't know if it's like out of like some kind of weird narcissistic personality disorder that I need people to listen to me or something. I was just like, why the fuck am I doing this? Especially now, like with my current job, it's like, I'm working like 50 plus hours a week. So it's like, it's tough to like find the time to come and produce this show on the weekends. I'm thankful with Kate here because Kate you do help out with a lot of preparation, show prep and finding stories and intros and things like that, because if you did as much work as like the previous hosts, there's no way I'd be doing this. Because I just don't have enough time. But then I was, so I was drinking my Templeton rye, drinking my rye whiskey. And I was sitting there thinking, why the fuck do I do this? I think I might have been listening to Cat Stevens, getting really introspective.
Oh my.
Maybe it was I don't know. But anyway, I was sitting there listening to some music and I was thinking out and I was like, what keeps me going nowadays? And I'm not trying to do this as like a big promotion or anything like that, but the reason I think I keep doing it now is because of the patrons, the people who, support the show and are on Patreon. And I think that's why I'm still doing this. And don't get me wrong. To be honest, there's not that many patrons, I was kind of doing the math recently. I was like, it's like 2.8% of the audience actually donates anything to Patreon, which isn't
the coolest
much.
2.8.
But yeah, you know who you are. And we do appreciate that. And honestly, that's their support for this podcast is kind of keeps me going. Because it helps. It's like we're actually making money off of it. Because for years we made nothing. And we'd sell t-shirts and things like that. But now it's like you're actually, making money from it, and you're being, rewarded, compensated for your efforts that you're spending every week.
All the money goes back into the show, and it's still going to go back into the show. We've got this big announcement coming up, and that's about the future of the show. And that's only going to be on Patreon. They're only going to be the people who are going to hear about it.
Well, I think so. This is what I was thinking about, and why I think I enjoy doing Patreon these days, because it's not just about money, obviously, but this is the analogy I came up with. This show, Sick and Wrong Podcast, is a lot like a mullet, like a mullet haircut, and hear me out on this. The show,
well, we have to. We're forced here.
Yeah, captive audience. The show itself that we record every week is a structured professional broadcast. I mean, as much as it can be considering the subject matter. But I mean, it's business time. It's business time, the show. Like, we're all business on this show. I don't usually get drunk when we record it. It's like, it's structured intro, stories, phone calls, it's a very structured thing. We've been doing the same thing, and it's consistent. We record at the same time. Whereas Patreon is kind of just like an unstructured mess. It's kind of like the shit show that Sick and Wrong used to be, like when me and Lance used to record in the early days.
Fun.
Yeah, it's fun, and it's fun to record. We're usually intoxicated, and because also it's like we do it at weird hours. Like, so we'll do it, either really late at night for me or early in the morning for you. So we're kind of like, we're sleep deprived,
wacky,
wacky, yeah. And it's kind of more like it's just more fun. It's like we get into like personal stories. I think you were talking about the history of your abortions.
I did my
many abortions, people. I'm not talking one or two. All right.
Yeah, I've been pregnant many times, just never to full term.
But yeah, it's kind of fun. Like, we just get drunk, and then we do like the news, and just talking about all sorts of stupid shit, like R. Kelly's sex cult mansion. What were we doing? Like pigs breathing through their anuses. It's like good science topics.
I always forget because I'm usually wasted.
Well, that's the funny part, is like Kate doesn't even remember. And like sometimes she'll, a couple of days later, she'll hear the outtakes and be like, oh my God, I had no idea I was talking about that.
Fuck it.
But I don't take anything out, because it's like, who gives a fuck? It's Patreon. It's beyond.
I always think Patreon is like listening to two fucking buddies sat in a room, and you're sat listening to them. And you're going, "What are those morons talking about now?" And we're talking about pigs breathing out of their anuses.
But that's the thing. So the show is like a mullet. It's like business up front and party in the back.
Party in the Patreon.
So, and we appreciate people joining the party. Definitely keeps me going. I'm not sure at this point if I'm going to do 1,000 episodes. Someone was like, I hope the next milestone is going to be 1,000 episodes. I don't know about that. In fact, I hope I'm not giving away too much. I do kind of have a potential end of the show in mind. It's not concrete, and it's not anytime like right now, but there's an idea I have that I think would be a cool way to end the show. Like, I remember I really wanted to end it at episode 666,
with
just
Damien
because
Eccles.
It's kind of, with Damien Eccles, like we're ending on a high note, 666. And plus, like, I mean, the show was becoming difficult at that time, but then it's like, I don't know. Then we kept going. I'm glad we kept going, because it's definitely, evolved, and it's fun. But I do have this idea of how to end this show, which would be weird. And it's not going to be anytime soon. But anyway, it's not concrete. I mean, I don't want to say that we'll never hit 1,000 episodes. I don't even know. I mean, I could say, like, with a few more patrons, it's probably more likely. I mean, if we had, a huge Patreon following, I'm too Jewish to step away from that.
Well, if we had a huge Patreon following, I would be the one who would end up doing everything.
Well,
I think
I think
to do that. It's like I say, I love doing all the research. One of the reasons I am so prolific at helping with the show is because I love doing the show, and I think people can tell. Unlike Wackily in the beginning, he did a lot, but then he grew bored, and like Harrison was always up and down because that's his nature. But I genuinely love this show. I came onto this show as a fan, so being here for like the 800th episode and I'm on the show, this is great for me, and I would love to like keep doing it.
You know what this is, people? This is newbie enthusiasm. Try doing it 15 fucking years, Kate, and see how like jolly you are.
I'd be like, can we end it, D? D, why are we on episode 20,000? My maths
I'm
is
just saying,
that would
I have
never
a
happen.
I have a creative way to possibly end the show that I think would be cool. I don't know if it's going to happen. I honestly don't. And
Well, you're only going to hear about it on Patreon. So
but yeah, actually, we do have some big announcements coming up on Patreon, so we'll see about that. But this is episode 800. It's fun party jubilee, JEW, and we have an interview coming up in a minute. Who's a perfect guest for this episode? I was searching far and wide trying to find the right guest.
yeah, this took a while.
Thematically to have for episode 800. We got some emotionally moving phone calls from our listeners, some emails, some really touching emails. I mean, touching. I touched myself when I read it.
Oh, that's disgusting.
I'm joking.
Disgusting.
I haven't read these emails. Kate says she had like a secret message, so I don't know. But I imagine it's going to be touching. But the thing that blows my mind about this show, that really does blow my mind about the show, is the people who have been listening for so many years. There's people who have been listening since like episode 1, episode 2. It's still listening. Like, I know it's insane for me to keep doing it, but what the fuck is wrong with you people? Like 15 years every week listening to this fucking show. I don't get it. I don't know. But it is humbling, to say the least. And I do appreciate that. And
They're here
great.
for you, D. They love you, man.
So, what do you want? Should we do the calls? You want to do a couple calls first, and then we'll get to this emotional message? Or do you want to read the emotional message?
I've got 2 messages to read. Do you want me to
Let's do the secret one first. This is the one that, all right.
To bring up the secret message.
Are you going to do it in a voice, or are you just going to do it in your voice? Oh, okay. I didn't know if you're going to do it in a voice as like of the person who wrote it.
No, you'll know.
Okay.
I just have to bring it up here.
All right. Maybe in that time, let's listen to a call.
I've got it now.
You got it? All right.
Yeah.
You're on it.
This is how it goes. I love you, D. Simon. You make every Monday morning good. And I've loved every incarnation of the show. You are one of the most artistic, talented people on this planet. And your commitment and tenacity is admirable. I love your sense of family, your honesty, your humility, and your strength. You are intelligent, funny, and nice. Nice is a compliment that is so underrated and is rarer than you'd think. You have morals, values, and respect, yet can still find the funny in everything. If my son grows up to be a fraction of the man you are, then I will be very proud. You are sick and wrong, and I never wanted to stop. Lots of love, my fake mom.
Oh, wow.
She sent that to me yesterday, and I have a bit of PMT, and I was having a few beers, and I got teary-eyed. I was like, oh, that's really sweet.
I got a little goosebumpy there.
She's been listening for so long, and like she's just so lovely. I like to think that everyone who listens to the show who doesn't really have like a sense of family like I do, or have any family they're close to, my fake mom is your fake mom too. I just get that vibe from her.
I do really appreciate that. I love your I love
my fake mom.
She's amazing. Yeah. Thank you for that. Here's a phone call. I think this is from a guy named Chris.
Hey guys, my name's Chris. I've been a very long-term listener. I started listening when I was like 17 or 18. I think it was about episode 55 or 60.
Wow.
Now 31. So I don't know how old that makes you, D. Pretty old.
Old.
Congratulations. 800 episodes. That is equally fantastic and depressing. So yeah, well done. I thought I should probably call in. I never called in before. I did write in once. I wrote a story about a friend of a friend who went home with a girl who shoved the dildo up his arse and made him shit all over the bed. And then he came back to find her rolling around in it. And Wackley didn't believe that my story was true.
I remember this story. I actually do remember the story. It stands out. Yeah. And I remember Wackley being like, I don't believe it. Bullshit.
So, fuck him. I've still never forgiven him for it. It's been really great.
Wackley has a lot of people to apologize too. You know, if you think about it.
I'm sorry, the first person he has to apologize to is John Steele.
John Steele, yeah.
John Steele. And Martin.
Snubbing him.
Martin is the second person
snubbing
he
them
has
both.
to apologize to.
Maybe in the next holiday show, he might.
Following you, D, and Wackerly, and Harrison, and now Kate. I'm really enjoying having Kate on, mainly because she sounds just like someone I used to have a big crush on, who ended up in a mental hospital.
Sounds about right.
And yeah, Kate has the same kind of manic laugh, so it was a bit of a turn on. So thanks, Kate. Appreciate that. Anyway, well done.
Cackle.
Try and make it to 1,000 now, I guess. Yeah, lick my balls.
That's funny.
Thank you, Chris, for that. That is one person I do miss is Trucker Paul. And I think Trucker Paul, he stopped listening when Wackerly left, didn't like the show anymore, which is fair enough. I get that, but
yeah, he's one of those people who just probably didn't want the upset and change. And Harrison was very PC as well, so I think he probably
the tone of the show definitely definitely changed a bit.
Yeah,
and the thing is with Wackerly, like Wackerly is by no means like a hardcore Republican, but he's definitely conservative, and a lot of his beliefs, he's very. I would say he leans. I would say he's liberal, but he definitely leans towards the conservative aspect. So, I think he wasn't as off-putting to conservative-minded people as me and Harrison. Especially Harrison. He's like the complete opposite.
The only parties I believe in are no pants parties.
No pants. Oh, that's what this is.
Consenting adults. Just getting that out there. Consenting adults, not for the underage. No
I'm not going
pants
to stand up.
Over 18.
Not going to stand up. This is a no pants party. It's a jubilee.
Disgusting.
All right. Here's another call from Thomas. He actually sent this in on Facebook.
How you doing, Kate? It's Tom calling from UK. Congrats on making it episode 800. So I've been listening to since about 450, I think. So it's fucking flown by since you started. But I'm happy the shows keep the shows still going. I was listening to the Patreon news for last week, and you were saying about Bill Cosby want to do a stand-up tour, and who'd actually risk their career to even support him. Kind of reminded me of when I was in college. I used to work in like a social club, so it's a bit like a working man's club. So it's like mainly blokes in the 40s and retired couples and that. So
wait, what kind of club?
A social club.
Oh, a social club.
Yeah, like a working man's club, social club. You pay like a very small amount of dues, and it's supposed to do a political party, but it isn't. You just.
Is it a bar?
Yeah, there's bars in there, and they usually put nights on. People have their weddings and stuff in them.
So okay, so it's like a social, like a VFW hall or something like that.
Yeah, it's kind of like actually speaking of Wackerly, doesn't he drink at one of these places?
Yeah, he drinks at one that he's a member at in Alameda. I forget the name of it.
Yeah, it's the same kind of deal. It's a members.
It's work behind the bar in there. So, but they did have a concert room which they would open on the weekend sometimes, like bingo, any like disco nights, or if they had like comedy and stuff like that. And this one particular night they had like some like big comedy thing on. So had about 20 people going up, like all doing like 5-10 minute skits. Just obviously giving the crowd something different and that. And this bloke, he got booed off like within like a minute, 2 minutes. I could hear it coming through the walls from the room. I was just serving at the bar, and I seen this like little cute old woman come in. She must have been like at least 75, 76, like old as fuck. She came up to the bar. She like looked really flustered. You'd think she just found out she had like a terminal cancer or something. She was going to die next week. But I asked her, "Oh, you okay?" And she's like, "Yeah, I'm okay. I'm just appalled with the comedy that they have on in this club." And I was like, "Oh, why? What's happened?" And then she's like, "Oh, the filth that bloke was come out on stage. He said, 'How do you get a dog to stop humping your leg?'" She looked me dead in the eye when she said this, and she said, "You pick it up and you suck it off." I was just like gobsmacked. I didn't know what to do. I wanted to fucking laugh my head off, but
steal that one.
I would have felt really embarrassed, especially in front of like this like little cute old lady. She's probably about fucking 5'1", she's a tiny little thing, but she obviously had hearing. So when she said that to me, she said it really loud, and everyone in the bar just like turned around and looked at her. It was like you did a penny drop, to be honest. It was so fucking awkward, but obviously I had to stop myself from laughing with the saying that, because I don't know, it was like a lot of old people in the where I used to work, and they always put complaints about like anything they could. So I didn't want like some Karen making me lose my job. But yeah, I thought it was pretty fucking funny, to be honest. All right, Hope to hear more episodes from you in the future. All right, keep it sticking around.
Oh, thank you there, Tom. I'm
He
gonna
sounds
steal
like
that joke.
He sounds like the tall son of Warwick Davis. Got a bit of the Warwick Davis
Yep.
inflections about
I
it.
wonder if they're from the same area.
I have a dog joke that's very similar. How do you make a dog
Great.
drink?
How?
Put it in a blender.
God, it's terrible.
I love that joke.
This-
It's so
This
funny.
celebration episode with this filthy humor. All right. We got some more calls coming up. I think we even have some more emails.
We
little
have
later in
another
the show.
great email.
But I want to get to this interview. So, yeah, we were trying to find the perfect guest. I know we were arguing about some guests. We interviewed a couple, and we're playing one in a few weeks.
Yeah.
Which is going to be a really cool interview. And it was a great interview, but I was like, no, it doesn't really fit the
800.
theme. Sick and Wrong episode 800. So I went out on a limb and ended up tweeting to this guy and being like, I wonder if he'll get back to me. He did. Max Hardcore. People who are the perverts out there know who I'm talking about. Max Hardcore was, well, his real name is Paul Little. He was like a porn actor, producer, and director. And Max Hardcore was a stage name. He was the star of all of his porns. This guy is so perverted. He's such a sexual deviant that he's the one. He like casts himself as the actor. This was his series, and he actually won an X-rated Critics Award in 1994. The Anal Adventures of Max Hardcore. That was his series.
I was watching Max Hardcore back in the day. I'm sure
you were. Kate
there
owns
be-
volumes 1 through 8.
There wouldn't
of
be
the Anal
Gonzo.
Adventures.
He was helped start a movement. There wouldn't have been Gonzo porn as we know it today without people like Max Hardcore, and he paid a price for it. And you're gonna hear.
Yeah, no, he definitely did. But yeah, his work is pretty much Gonzo porn. He kind of pioneered that industry and that type of filmmaking, and he definitely pushed the boundaries of acceptability in filmmaking, especially even in porn. I mean, some of the things, and we talk about this, but some of the things that he would film, like this guy would write this in to like a scene. It's like, we need urination, fisting, speculum in anuses, vomiting, and gaping. He was like a big fan of the gape. I don't think a lot of people were doing this back then.
Barely anyone was, especially outside of a studio setting. I have kind of some admiration for Max Hardcore. He's definitely changed pornography as we know it today, and I admire those people. These like pioneers. And he actually went to prison. He was sentenced to 46 months for obscenity. So anyway, I was wondering like where the hell this guy has been and what's he been up to. And so I reached out to him, and he was totally cool coming on the show. In fact, he was actually like really stoked about it. He was enthusiastic. Yeah, we talked for a long time. So let's play the interview here. But first, I want to play a little message about our Patreon page, and then we'll get to the interview of Max Hardcore. Obviously, we're not going to play.
Yeah. So people listening on the YouTube, you're gonna have to download the show.
The full interview will be on Patreon, and then the edited version we're going to put on YouTube. And then obviously this episode too.
Yeah, so episode 800, we're going to cut in the edited version. This guy, it was crazy. He was so talkative. Like, I don't know if he was like an older dude that's just kind of bored or something, but we talked to him for like well over an hour. And so the interview, I mean, I had to edit it down because I'm not going to. I'm not going to put like an hour and a half long interview on the show. So I edited it down to about like 36 minutes or something.
But the interview with him is super interesting because obviously I knew a lot of the people who starred in his films. So he answered questions to me about them. And
yeah, and then it sucks that I did cut
stuff
out.
like that you can kind of have to cut out, but it's all going to be on the page.
But I cut out some good stuff. So yeah, so if you're on the Patreon page, you can hear about like yeah, it was funny. Like Kate was dropping names of these porn chicks, and like I think Max was impressed.
I'm kind of like Steele in the fact that if I've got a favorite, like I know Steele liked all the porn men, but if I've got a favorite porn,
that is weird.
And plus, this is what I did like my dissertation on. I did it about pornography. So that period of time in pornography, gonzo porn. What you in at?
Your dissertation on
I
porn.
did, yeah, I did my thesis. All right.
What was the thesis? What was the title
It
of
was
the
actually
thesis?
about how feminism in porn, because I was doing contemporary culture. So it was about how actually,
I would say Max is a
porn,
feminist.
in a way, right? Females in porn are the most empowered females in the world compared to like any of us, because they're making money doing something that's we all fucking do. It's empowerment, isn't it, at the end of the day? And they get
Well,
paid more
they
than
also
the
get
men.
paid-
Name
yeah, they get
another
paid more,
industry,
yeah.
where the men get paid jack shit compared to the women, because they're just stunt cocks. The women can come in and spread their legs and they're getting paid like
The
3
women are the
times.
true stars. Yeah, it's like,
Yeah.
dudes, who cares?
And especially when I was writing this at the time, it was when Burning Angel was massive. And like that was an all female led, where she would only have female camera women, female editors, female sound engineers. I'm sure it's different now, but it's like to have that level of something where you're creating a product for a man to wank to. I think it's super fucking interesting.
Yeah, I mean, Joanna Angel like started that whole company.
She
And it
did,
was,
yeah.
you know, what I find kind of amazing, Max kind of got into this, is like he was saying how like OnlyFans and YouTube and all that. I'm sure he hates it because it kind of took their money away. But what I admire about that, like you look at Ryan Keeley. Ryan Keeley's a businesswoman. Like she runs her
Way to
own
do it,
OnlyFans.
yeah.
She runs her own porn. She like hires her own, you know, camera people and video editors, and she posts everything herself. And she's making really good money. I mean, she bought a condo recently. Like she's running her own business, and I think I totally admire that. And I kind of,
I do too.
I hope like the women don't have to rely on some sleazy porn director. You know.
Well, I think nowadays it's kind of come back circle again, because the gonzo porn industry kind of died off. But now OnlyFans is probably as gonzo as it can fucking get.
Yeah, I mean it is. They're filming stuff with their iPhones.
Yeah, you do
Like-
shit by yourself. You take your own pictures. You're getting 100% of the profits.
Well, I think OnlyFans skims a bit from it.
Oh
But,
yeah, but you know what I mean. You can then create your name from that, and on Twitter you can make your own videos to sell for them. It's kind of like Nina Hartley is still going. Did try to get Nina Hartley for this episode, but she never responded to me.
Oh, yeah. Ryan Keeley,
She's my
like
favorite.
she'll just like message someone on Twitter and be like, "Hey, you want to do trade?" And then dude will come over and
That's
she'll
it.
film it with her iPhone. Like that's all she needs to do. And some of these girls just like film themselves, like fucking themselves with a vibrator, and then they put that up on OnlyFans and make money instantly. There's no middleman. There's no producer. There's no, fluffer.
Yeah, there is no fluffer, and I think it's great. Although I do, obviously, I really like the 70s style of porn, where there's like, is an elaborate story. It's like punk
The
rock.
wolf pussy.
Love wolf pussy. Punk
Wait,
rock
what's the
1977.
porn that you like?
Punk Rock 1977 is the greatest porn film ever made. They will never top it. There will never be a better porno film made than that. It is fantastic, and it's on Pornhub. It's on X movies. Everyone go watch it. But
Punk Rock 1977.
77, it's so fucking good. I just have it on in the background sometimes.
Is Debbie Harry in it?
Actually, when
That'd
they
be a
filmed
great
it,
name for a porn star, by the way. A 70s Debbie Harry.
Debbie Harry.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Debbie
Oh.
Harry.
Oh yeah, but you're saying it with your Michigan accent. Yeah, it's just great film. But anyways,
All right. We gotta move on. Got some more calls to
we've
get
got
to.
a special
All right.
and some special messages from special people.
Yeah. So Max's porn is definitely not for everybody. I mean, personally, I'm not a big fan of the gaping speculum. That's not my thing. But I am a fan of free speech. And I'm a fan of freedom of expression. And
I
I think
admire pioneers, and he's a pioneer.
in the end, whatever you may think of his porn, he's creating art. And that's what he wanted to do. And I admire that. I mean, it sucks that he had to go do some prison time for his art. But but yeah, he's a pioneer, fighting for the First Amendment. So the other thing too, he's so much more friendlier than I thought he'd be. Because when you look at his porn and the horrible things that he does in his porn, you'd think like, I don't know, I wonder how that guy's going to be. Because I remember like I interviewed Ron Jeremy. Holy shit. That was like one of the hardest interviews to deal with. That guy, that fucking
I've
guy.
never been a fan of the Hedgehog. I just don't get it. I've never liked his porn, not into it. But Max Hardcore, I've always kind of had like a little special.
I mean, he was,
in my heart.
he like Ron Jeremy just wouldn't even answer questions, just talked about himself.
Oh yeah,
He's kind of an asshole. And not to mention, he was like, it was so difficult just to timing wise to get that guy in the show. Max Hardcore, right on time. He was super talkative.
He was early, in fact.
Yeah, he was actually
And
early.
I admire that.
He was super talkative. Like we talked to him longer than I had anticipated. And so I'm going to post the unedited version of the interview because it was like well over an hour to the Patreon page. But, the edited version will be here on the main show. But, I got to say, he was a cool guy.
Yeah, I like him.
I was a bit surprised. So yeah, episode 800 here. Party people, the Jubilee, Sick and Wrong Jubilee, celebrating 15 years of shit stories and morons and murder and.
How else do you say? Is it just Mazel Tov? Is there any other Jewish way to say congratulations? Well done. Is it just?
No, it's Mazel Tov. Yeah.
Just Mazel Tov. Oh, I'm
Big
saying
ups,
it the
mate.
right way. Big ups, mate. Innit?
Big ups,
well
mate.
Done. Salute.
Well, we got some more emails to get to and some phone calls. But first, let's play a quick word from Adam and Eve. All right. So you have another special email to read out here, Kate Rambo.
I do, and this is from our dear patron Warren. So I put up a thing on Patreon asking people to get in touch if they could. So Warren says, I remember the old days on the forum. So that's how old he's been around.
Sick and Wrong
No,
forum.
sorry, Warren, you're not old. That's how long he's been around. Where he made special friends with Kendra and Hannah and my all-time #1 online crush, sexting partner, Duramater. Do you remember her?
Whoa, Duramater. God.
Duramater.
There are long-term fans that are going to freak out when they hear that name. Like Kendra, she was crazy. She like totally changed her life around. Like a lot of people, it's weird. A lot of people were like, in their depths of depravity when they found this show and listened to this show, and it, I don't know, maybe justified their lowly existence. And then like they one day were like, I'm getting clean. Like Kendra was like, she was doing gangbangs at the randos on Craigslist and doing heroin. She had like a big Baphomet, like right in between her breasts, like tattooed. Like she was wild. Yeah, she was a crazy one. She's the one who actually painted a painting for us in her period blood. She was wacky, but she was also like an engineer, like some kind of, I don't know what she did, what kind of engineering, like chemical engineer or something. And then, she like went to rehab, stopped doing heroin, became like a marathon runner, changed her entire life around. Like you see, I saw a picture, someone sent me a picture of her on Facebook recently. And I was like, I didn't even recognize that person compared to the person I knew in like 2007. So a lot of people like changed their life around, like Duramater. And I might be wrong on this. She was another one that was like, I wouldn't say she was like a heroin addict, but she definitely like, was into dark, unseemly topics, the things that we talk about. And then I think she like was in med school. So I'm sure now she's probably like a gynecologist or something with a family and an upstanding member of society. And she's like Sick and Wrong is like a distant memory. But she was super cool. This hot Asian girl. She sent me a bottle of Crystal Skull vodka, Dan Aykroyd's vodka.
Cool. Yeah. That's
like cool. Shipped it to me. It's awesome. I still have it to this day, but she was super cool. But the forum was weird. It's definitely different than the Discord. So we have a Discord similar idea.
I love the Discord. I also love everyone on the Discord.
Yeah, Discord, it's a similar idea, but Discord's like, it's not like the old Sick and Wrong forum. The old Sick and Wrong forum, first of all, there were like a lot of people on it because Sick and Wrong was, back then there weren't as many podcasts. We had like thousands of listeners. And there were like 20 odd, 30,000 people on the forum. And some people even met each other and got married on it, which is weird.
Oh, that's so nice.
But it was a really like antisocial, strange community on there. And like there was no moderation really. And I think like the first forum someone posted like I think like kiddie porn, and it got we did not manage. We didn't manage it. It was like managed by some dude in Canada, and he ended it. And then this like Russian guy, Bester, people might remember that guy. He started up the second one, and the second one was just like full of just misogynist. Like these dudes, any girl that came on was just like, tits or get the fuck out. And it just became this like really just incel, like this before the term incel was around, but this like really just insipid, terrible incel environment. And me and Wackerly were like, we're going to stop even promoting this thing and just let it die.
It's not like that on the Discord now. I would
No.
definitely say that the women rule on the Discord and FM rules. And if you
Well,
piss off
what I-
any of those people, you're out the door.
What I love about Discord is it's moderated. People are cool on there. It's
It's
a
chill.
fun community, and it's like now there's like all these different channels on it. The Discord does a way better job at having a forum than the old forums that they used to find.
Well, we have
back
some
in the
great
day.
moderators on the
Yeah.
Discord too. So
Big ups to
thank
them.
all those people. So he's Warren continues with he wants Duramator to DM if you're out there. We should exchange suggestive photos and corny jokes one more time for nostalgia's sake. So I asked for favorite memories, and he says favorite memories of the show often involve a cameo appearance from Jeff. I'd love to hear some
Brother.
highlights of his appearances. Yeah, your brother. Of course, Bob Madigan will go down in Sick and Wrong folklore. His appearances made for either entertaining or
I will
sadness.
raise a glass to Bob Madigan.
Yeah, for Bob. Sometimes both, but there was never a dull moment with that guy. Rest in peace, Bob. We're gonna get his widow on soon, aren't we? We're gonna have his ex-wife.
Yeah, I kind of want to get like Bob's ex-wife, a couple of his bandmates, and do like kind of a Bob memorial.
Special.
Yeah,
that'd
Bob
be
special.
cool.
Because the funniest thing about Bob Madigan, if people long-term listeners of the show might remember this, but I spent the night at Wackley's house. I did not piss on, well, maybe a little bit of piss on his Xbox, but it wasn't like it was near his Xbox. But keep in mind, I was really, really drunk in a strange house. I didn't know where the bathroom was. And, it's not like I spent the night at Wackley's apartment that often. Like we're all partying there, and I think I passed out on the
Yeah.
couch. And so I got up and I pissed in what I thought was the bathroom. It was near his Xbox. He was really upset about it. Understandably so. And I apologize, unlike he did to Steele. But
Wackerly will never apologize to Steele for that snub.
But so
obvious
anyway,
snub.
he went. It wasn't like he was not talking to me, but I think he took a week off, and so I made a whole. I think he was upset. Had enough D. Simon for a little while.
Over an Xbox. I'm sorry, Xbox have always sucked. It's always been about PlayStations. Fuck you, Wackerly.
Well, so anyway, I did a whole thing of like I was auditioning new hosts, and it was kind of a bit, and so that's when I brought Bob on. And Bob was like,
Nice.
I mean, the guy was such a reprobate and such a drunk and everything, but he had like a really good heart, that guy. And I remember at one point, I mean, he was wasted. I bought him like a fifth of vodka. I was drinking the whole thing. I mean, which is not great for an alcoholic to do. But anyway, at one point we were doing this story because that's what you do in Sick and Wrong. You do like the horrible murder stories. And he's reading it and he was just like, I don't see why is this funny. And I was like, well, it's funny because it's a story about, he's like, but someone died. I'm like, well, yeah. He's like, but that's not funny. It's terrible. So yeah, he was really upset about it.
Well,
Oh
we're
shit!
gonna-
Is my mic breaking up?
It just did then.
Yeah, that was weird. All right,
It
sound
was.
all right now. Yeah.
Yeah, so
odd.
we're gonna have Bob. We're gonna do a Bob episode, and your brother's gonna come back on soon because we've got some. I have some questions I have for your sister, and I have some questions for your brother. So
Yeah, I do want to talk to him about he's got a new gig. He's got a new gig.
Yeah, we were talking about this on the Patreon, weren't we?
Yeah, we were talking about
Yeah.
this place, the Glass Coffin. He didn't end up working there. He's working another spot actually, on Upper Haight. That's kind of cool. We'll talk to him. We'll catch up with him.
So Warren continues. He says the Wacker years, they were akin to the Federation years in WWE wrestling. It was a golden age filled with memorable characters which paved the way for future generations of listeners and hosts. Sticking with the WWE analogy, the Harrison era was the new generation period, where some old faces departed, the management tried out a new angle, but ultimately, and I don't think I'm talking out of turn here, The product started to get a little tired towards the end of this phase, and something drastic was required. Cue something drastic. The departure of the jobber and the introduction of Rambo. That's me. Was very Alan Partridge then. That's me.
That's me.
That's me. We are now in the equivalent of WWE's Attitude Era, which is a period of time hallmarked by vulgarity, shock, nudity, a renewed drive of creativity and fan engagement. I'm reading this totally like Alan Partridge now. It's all I can hear. D. Simon, he's the Vince McMahon of the world's source for anti-social commentary, is back on top of his game. We love you, D. It's been 12 glorious years of listening from me. I've gone from an irresponsible waster with no prospects to an irresponsible waster with a house, a career, and a child, somehow. D has been there as a weekly voice in my ear the whole time, and Plays Something Dancy has been my annual holiday poolside read for the past decade or so. Things
Talk
just
about
wouldn't-
reprobates.
Things just wouldn't be the same without your weekly emissions. So thank you for 800
Emissions.
gloriously puerile episodes. And as always, keep it sick, keep it wrong. Brought to you by the Reach Around Foundation.
The Reach Around Foundation. You know what's really funny? I should see if I can look that up. I remember I had the rabbi on to do an intro. No,
No.
well, he was on the show one time, but he was at my house, and I was like, I think it'd be funny to do a rabbi intro. You know, maybe I'll start this episode with it because it was really funny. And he was just like, "You're listening to Sick and Wrong, brought to you by the Reach Around Foundation."
I
It's
wanna
like
hear it.
it's like a lilt to it. Yeah, it was really funny.
I've
I'll
never
see if I
heard
can
your
find
dad's
it. Maybe-
voice.
Yeah, maybe I'll start the show with it. It was pretty funny. He was on like I don't remember what episode it was, but me and Sleazy E were interviewing a guy who created a device that you could tug and grow your foreskin back. And he was like an anti-circumcision guy. And then
We've
the
talked about this.
counterpoint, the counterpoint was my dad, who was like totally pro-circumcision. The rabbi was just like, "It's a covenant with God." He's like so into circumcision. Anyway. Thank you, Warren. Appreciate that.
Loved that
Um,
message. Thank you for comparing me to the best era in wrestling. Thank you so much. It's such a compliment to me, not D.
Got a couple more calls to get to. Here's one from good old Richard Onions,
Oh, no
chicken
way.
fucker from the forum.
Yeah, Richard Onions.
Hey guys, it's Richard here, formerly chicken fucker of the original forum, old school listener from back in the day. I can't believe it's 800 shows. I mean, you know, Wackley, awesome, Harrison, roller coaster, couple of guest hosts. That Richard guy was particularly awesome. And now you and Kate, you know, it's going well, but I think it's time that we address the elephant in the room and discuss time. It's time to get a new host. Like D, you've been blagging it all this time. I can't believe you've made it 800 shows without being sacked. I think it's serious time that we found someone competent to take the helm and drive.
I gotta say, I agree with them.
Wouldn't it be gay if I did like a Caesar moment and I just took over the whole show and just locked you out?
Are you gonna get a new host? You're gonna get someone else to host it?
Yeah, I'll get another Jew in, and you'll be so angry if I got another Jew in.
Oh my god, I'd be really mad. You got someone Jewier than me? I'd be so mad.
Got like
the show forward and make Sick and Wrong great again. Bollocks. Anyway, you guys, you know, thank you for hours and hours of entertainment. You rock. Keep doing it, you sick fuckers.
Yeah.
That's it. Keep it sick and wrong. Later.
The little day that you originally.
Thank you there, Mr. Onions. Always good to hear from him. Yeah, I loved his he didn't get along well with the guy that ran the forum, the Russian guy. They hated each other.
Oh, so like
Yeah.
a bitter rivalry.
A lot of vitriol there back in the day. Here's another a long-time listener.
Hey, D and Kate. Just wanted to send a message to congratulate you both on 800 episodes. D, it was whenever you mentioned that you've been doing this for nearly 15 years, and I realized that I've been listening to you since probably episode in the episodes of around 30 or 40, and I turned 30 earlier this year, that I've been listening to roughly half my life.
That is insane. It's difficult to comprehend. Like this kid was 15.
You
when
have
he's listening to
corrupted this young Irish
just
boy.
corrupted the youth.
You totally have.
Yeah, we
That's
really
so
have.
funny.
And the crazy thing too is it's like, I mean, and over the years, like I've been interviewed by a couple high school students. I've been interviewed by a few college students.
Ella interviewed.
Yeah, Ella did an interview because she was doing a thing on like podcasting and new media in general. So but it was just weird to me to think like, God, you were 15 and you're listening to the horrible things that we say. Like we're like an influence on this kid's life.
That's a good thing, though, to be 15 and listening to a show like this. I think it's a good thing. I would agree. I'd have known about this. I wasn't listening to podcasts at like 15 because they weren't around. But if they were, oh man, I would have embraced it. Instead, I was on rotten.com. This would have been so up my street.
It is kind of the podcast version of rotten.com.
Good.
The thought of having you in my ear for half my life is absolutely terrifying, but it's been a true delight. So thank you very much for the past 15 years. I don't know if I want to wish you for the next 15 years because you're pretty bitter as it is. So we'll not wish you for that. I've been through.
Could you imagine? Like, so what would I be? I'm 46.
Well, no, you already remember black and white telly. So in another 15 years.
Yeah, but I'm like in my 60s. I'm like, good evening.
Doddering.
Welcome to Sick and Wrong, the world's source for goddamn social commentary.
I'll be there, still the spring chicken going, stop it. You've already told this story.
With this witch
times.
cackle.
Yeah,
We've already heard about it.
I'm bored now.
Yeah. No, hopefully you'll replace me by then.
I will.
Put me in a home for old podcasters.
Old Jewish podcasters.
Old Jewish podcasters. That's where I go. Failed old Jewish podcasters.
Generations of podcasts with Wackley, God rest in peace, and Harrington getting fluffed up wherever he is now. God bless his little cotton socks. And now Miss Rambo, who's been truly a delight to listen to, and I hope it continues as long as you both wish it does. I've emailed you once or twice, I sent you a couple of messages, but I've never phoned in. I'm pretty drunk, so I guess I'm using the drunk dial line pretty well.
Liquid courage.
Best of luck. And honestly, seriously, thanks for the last 15 years. It's been fantastic. Best of luck.
Oh, well, thank you for that.
Yeah.
That's no, I mean, that's what I'm saying. It's like a lot of these calls are very emotional, very touching.
What would you've got to have some favorite memories from 800? What have been some? I know these people are bringing back memories where you're like, I remember that, but you've got to have one where you're like, that was cool, or that was disgusting.
Fuck. I don't even know. And we've done so many. We've done some great interviews. I think one of my favorite interviews is the guy that fucked the dolphin and wrote the book about it.
Yeah.
Malcolm, I forget his last name, but that was a great one. We interviewed the To Catch a Predator guy. That was kind of cool. Chris Hansen, yeah. We interviewed, me and Harrison interviewed Jinx Dawson from Coven. I thought that was really cool.
That is cool. Jinx.
Yeah, she was pretty amazing. I used to love. Witch. Yeah. I mean, just over the years, we've done so many shows. It's crazy that what I find kind of crazy about it too is like, I've been through like real life events. I still did the show. Like when my father passed away, I was in Michigan for the whole time, but yet we still did the show. But I remember like Wackerly covered the show a couple times, and Tree Grows in Brooklyn was one of my favorite things because it was so Andy Kaufman.
I actually talk about that. I'm actually going to read that on Overkill one day, just to get it out there. I'm just
in a tribute. It was. Tribute. I remember just being like floored by it because it was like, I'm like, well, dude, I can't. I literally can't do it. I'm like, dealing with some terrible shit right now with my dad dying and all that, and I don't have time. I can't do it over the weekend. And so he's like, I got it. I'll do something. I'm like, well, do you want me to get somebody like Sleazy E or someone to cover? He's like, no, don't worry about it. I got it. And then I remember like he like did it, recorded it, posted the show and everything. And I remember listening to it and being like, what the fuck? Like, what the fuck? Kind of blown away on so many levels because it was like such an epic troll. in an Andy Kaufman type of thing, this random book, and people's minds were just blowing. Like people were like, what the hell? Like there were people that were really upset about it.
Well,
Yeah.
it's become part of the folklore now.
The sick and wrong lore. Yeah. The other thing that sticks out in my mind that I always thought was really funny is we kind of got creative with our April Fool's Day jokes, but when we did soft and warm, that's another very memorable thing. And it was so like, I mean, it was so obvious that we were fucking around. I mean, I think I did a story about, I forget that guy's name, the Chinese basketball player that was like 8 feet tall. I don't know if you remember that guy.
I remember him. Yeah, he was in Bizarre magazine.
Yeah, he was like this huge dude. I actually saw him at SFO one time in security. I was like, I literally came up to like his waist. But anyway, that dude was in Florida, or not Florida, in China. Florida. He was in China. China. And dolphins, like his long arms, dolphins who had swallowed like, the plastic from 6-packs. He was like reaching in and pulling it out of their stomachs.
That's noble. What a noble.
Yeah, well, that's what I'm saying. It's like a soft and warm story. And we're just like, on the brown star rating of soft and warm, I give that 5 soft and warm brown stars.
The thing I also like the most is obviously all these cast of characters. Is all the people who've rang in throughout the years that you get to know like a snippet of their lives from. Like Jizzy Jake, you get to know him.
Yeah.
Like, I think that's one of definitely the best things about the show, like Jizzy Jake, FM.
You get some just random characters over the years that have called in.
I love it. I've always loved the phone calls. It's one of the reasons that I was like, this is one of the best podcasts.
It was always weird with the phone calls because some people hated it. Some people liked it. I always like doing the phone calls because I kind of like the idea of having like the interaction with the listeners,
Oh, yeah, I love it. I think it's great.
Instead of just doing, it's funny when I think back about Sick and Wrong, at the time when I started doing the show, I wanted it to be just serial killers. And every week we do a different serial killer and it'd be a very true crime thing. And Wacker is like, I'm not doing that. It's boring and stupid. And I remember
how famous would you be now if it was just true crime?
I know. I was thinking about that. I was like, God, if we had done that in 2006, no one was doing true crime. We'd have been the first real true crime podcast. But instead, we're doing these like horrible, like juvenile, shit story phone calls and these like stupid murder articles. But at the same time, I kind of don't regret a thing.
I like the way it is now. I think Lackley is right. If you just do totally like true crime, it does get boring. And like now you get the whole scope.
Well, Wackley also wanted to do like a comedy thing, not just like a serious. And I don't think I could do a serious podcast on true crime. I mean, I think we can. Yeah, but I think we could talk about it like we do in an intro. But I think I still have to like, add some comedic hijinks in there. Anyway, let's a couple more calls, and then we got to wrap up this Jubilee celebration. Sick and Wrong, a celebration. Here's Waxer. Remember that guy?
Waxer.
What's up, party people, and the place to be? This is Waxer. I just wanted to say hi, and I can see that you're about to do the 800th show. So, I don't know. I'm slightly inebriated right now. It's a Saturday night,
hence the drunk dial,
and it's been a very warm day. I've got not really a lot to say other than I fucking love you guys, and thank you for doing everything. And last year's been a bit difficult for me, not really being in touch or listening to a lot of shows, but I need to get back into it. And I wouldn't bother playing this message, honestly, if I was you, because why was you? Because it's just bollocks. However, you are the bollocks.
Deprecating.
Actually, you know what? It brings me to my point. There is a funny thing in the English language about the word bollocks. So you can have your bollocks, which are your testicles. You can be the bollocks, which is you're the greatest, or it's a load of old bollocks, which is it's total shit. So the word bollocks in the English language actually has some value. So maybe you could just play that bit, cut the early part out. And
I kind of feel like Sick and Wrong is all three.
At some points it is, I'm sure. And people
I was thinking about bollocks. Yeah. So there you go. That's it. D. Love you, man. And I hope you're good and speak soon. Kate, is it the co-host? I'm really sorry, darling. I haven't really listened too much of your shows. I hope you're great, and I will try and catch up, and I'll do my best. And I'm going to get back on the Patreon thing. So love you guys. Take care. Peace.
Thank you, Waxer. I wish you well, man. I've always liked that guy. Long time listener. Long time listener. All right, we got time for one more call, and I think I got to wrap it up. Yeah, we got a bunch of calls. Thank you, everybody, for calling in. It's kind of weird. It's like, it's weird. I feel weird. Like, I mean, I don't usually, that's why I don't do stuff like this. Like, I don't do birthday parties. I don't like to, like, you know, have some kind of ceremonial declaration of my achievements. I usually don't do that. And this, I'm torn on this because I know it's a bit of a rewarding accomplishment, but it's also kind of like a weird tragedy of like, what the fuck have I been doing for the past 15 years of my life? You know, it's a weird feeling. I have mixed emotions here, but hearing everybody call in like this is pretty amazing.
Yeah, I think you've just got to be a woman. You've got to suck your bollocks up into you at this point and be like, it is an achievement, and it's good to celebrate achievements, especially an achievement that is, this isn't like a birthday or something where everyone has one. How many people can be like, oh yeah, this is like the 800th time I've shot something out. Whereas you can.
Yeah, 800 episodes of Sick and
This
Wrong.
is something to celebrate, man. This is great.
All right, here's one more call from the Atheist Preacher.
AP.
Hey, Brother D, Sister Kate. This is Atheist Preacher. Ain't called y'all in a while. I've been busy back home being a paterfamilias. Ain't got much to say, but I am calling because I saw on Facebook about 800 episodes. That's that's something, I guess. Damn near 15 years, closer to 20 years than not, of this Sisyphean effort, D.
It is
I'm
a
proud of you.
Sisyphean effort.
Kate, D, y'all have a wonderful day. Keep it going. Let's make it to 1,000. Adios. Lick my balls.
Yeah, lick my balls.
I know. I kind of like that salutation. Two different calls. All right. I gotta say thank you everybody for calling in. It's pretty awesome to hear from people like that. Talking about talking about like the influence the show had on their lives and just have been listening for so many years. It's crazy. It is mind-blowing to me to think that someone is at 15 years of age, started listening to this random podcast that they found on iTunes, and 15 years later, they're now like a full-grown adult with a family and a career, and they're still listening to this shit.
Yeah, you've been a constant in their lives. And when you think about everyone obviously has so many like turmoils in their life as well. And you've always been
ups
there
and downs, yeah.
Every Monday.
It's weird. It has been a constant in a lot of people's lives. And I gotta say, for the foreseeable future, I think it will be. You know. But there are some changes coming up on the show and some big announcements that we're going to be doing on Patreon. It's kind of weird. We're kind of doing an experimental thing. I don't know if a lot of people have done this. I would almost want to say it's almost like a reality show in a way, what we're going to try to do in October. I don't want to give too much away, but we're definitely going to be, it's going to be weird. I don't think podcasts have really done this.
I can't think of any podcast that's done what we're going to do. And you're only going to hear about it on Patreon.
Yeah, I think we're kind of doing it as a selling point to get you motherfuckers to sign up for Patreon. But also, I think it's what I like about Patreon is because it's not structured, so we can like do stuff like that.
We can be ourselves.
Well, you can put. It's not like Sick and Wrong. It's like we got to do the hour and a half every week, blah blah blah, and it's like a structured show.
It's about something. Yeah.
Business up front. Patreon, on the other hand, we can do whatever the fuck we want because it's behind a paywall, and we can just put out things and we could be ourselves, talk about our personal lives. And that's because I don't usually go too much into my personal life, in general, like, my romantic life. I don't usually do that on the show.
Apart from I will obviously talk about all my abortions, all 19 of them.
It's a lot of abortions, people.
It was like a slip and slide towards the end.
Yeah, we're going to we're going to try something in October that I think will be, I don't know about groundbreaking, but it'll definitely be different. I'm not sure if it's been done in the podcrafting world. But that's what Sick and Wrong's all about, you know. Got to do some change, got to push the boundaries, pushing the limits of pond crafting. That's what we do here. So go check it out. Patreon.com/sick and wrong. $5 a month. You get an extra story, extra phone calls. This week we do a story about a poo bomber. She's a poo bomber. It's a 50-year-old lady who's plagued her neighbors' lives with her poo bombing for 25 years. Yeah, she's like banned from defecating in public, this woman. Anyway, that's
we all be.
For a few bucks more, you get our Sick and Wrong news segment, where this week I want to get into this whole thing with the racist English footballers, which is not surprising, but also like
It isn't.
the football fans, not the footballers, the football fans. And then also I read,
not surprising.
yeah, I read the story about, you heard about these anti-sex beds?
I've actually seen the anti-sex beds, not in real life, obviously.
Is your bed an anti-sex bed?
God, no. Mine's the exact opposite. It's like
it's a pro-choice bed, that's for sure. Anyway, that's the Sick and Wrong news segment. And then Kate also for the Overkill, the Sick and Wrong mini episode this week. It was all about Amy Winehouse.
Yeah, I'm going rogue on the Overkill this month. I'm doing whatever the fuck I want. D can't tell me to tie into the show.
I don't have jurisdiction. Years. I don't have jurisdiction in that area.
No, it's 10 years since she died. Amy Winehouse is a very important person to me. So I may have cried when I recorded the Sam Kinison episode. And I may have cried when I recorded the Amy Winehouse episode. You have to listen to it to find out.
Amy Winehouse is a big influence on Kate. And actually, I really admire Amy Winehouse too. That was someone who I remember, like, at first I was like, I just didn't even give it a chance. I was like, I know it's something I'm not going to listen to. And then an ex-girlfriend of mine was super into Amy Winehouse. And I started listening to her and I was like, God, you know, I actually really like it. I think I definitely own all of her records.
Yeah, she's a punk without a punk band. I love her attitude. And also because I'm a North Londoner, there's not many North Londoners. So I'm bound to her and she's bound to me. And I love her.
Yeah, I've always admired her. So you can go check that out on the Sick and Wrong Overkill this week. Also, people, if you want to get some Sick and Wrong merch, proudly display the Sick and Wrong logo, you can go to the T Public store, sickandwrongpodcast.com/shop. Click on the picture of the Pope, buy some Sick and Wrong Shiza. And finally, here's Sick and Wrong Song of the Week. I want to dedicate this song to a friend of mine, a good friend of mine who recently died. Recently passed away. Bay Area, legendary. He's a legend. This guy's a legend in the Bay Area, and people that are in the Bay Area will know who I'm talking about. Legendary Bay Area punk promoter Scott Alcoholocaust died at 54. Only 54 years of age.
Wow.
Yeah, this guy. It's a real bummer. He was integral to the punk rock scene of San Francisco. Definitely at the time of the mid 2000s when I really knew him. But still never stopped. This guy. Scott Alcoholocaust died at the age of 54 after an 18-month battle with prostate cancer. Sucks.
Yeah, it's really sad.
It really does suck. He was a frequent guest DJ on Rampage Radio. He used to come in, just show up in the middle of the night after one of his shows, and usually would bring in a band. And it was cool. Like
even better, cool.
Yeah, he would spin for like an hour or two. And this guy, I'm talking, he had some of the best records, all OP, original pressings of just like a great punk and metal albums. I mean, this guy had an amazing selection. And I spun with him at, we used to do DJ nights together in San Francisco at a bunch of different bars like El Rio and Cover Wagon. People might remember those. But this guy was like as legit punk rock as you could possibly be. You know, never ever sold out or didn't. I mean, he was just like so dedicated to the scene. Well, exactly. His passion was punk rock. He created the local punk scene. He was the punk scene in San Francisco, I would say, in the mid aughts. Scott's real name was Scott Rogers, but he went by Scott Alcoholocaust. He had been in the underground scene for 25 years. This guy, it's crazy.
This is the king of punk.
In that time, he booked more than 4,000 shows.
Whoa!
And was definitely one of the most passionate and dedicated promoters, I would say, in punk. at the scene. Great band, Dead and Gone. I was reading a quote from the vocalist Shane Baker. He said he preferred the smaller DIY shows, dive bars, punk spots. That's where the energy was and fun for him. And he goes, I thought it was crazy how so organized he was. That's something I always was amazed by too. Like this dude was just totally punk rock. I mean, he smelled bad. You know, he's like wearing like, you know, a tattered shirt and like, you know, torn jeans, everything when he'd show up. But everything was like exceptionally organized. His flyers, his shows, everything was booked on time. Bands always got paid. He was definitely a very professional punk rock promoter. And he really did know his music, loved music, and promoted all sorts of DIY punk bands. You know, Scott Alcoholic definitely will be missed. And so whenever he came and he spun on Rampage Radio, he always played this song. It's always part of his set. Alcohol by the Boston, Massachusetts punk band Gangrene.
This is like his John Peel always played Teenage Kicks. This is his Teenage Kicks.
Yeah, I mean, he also did what was that band, the Rosillos? Somebody's gonna get their head kicked in tonight. Love that band. Yeah, that's where I found out about the Rosillos from, because he was like, he'd always play like somebody's gonna get their head kicked in tonight.
The Rosillos are just up the road from me. That's amazing.
Oh yeah, great Scottish punk band. But this song Alcohol by the punk band Gangrene definitely stood out. It's a fitting song. It was a fitting song from Rampage Radio. Definitely a fitting song for Sick and Wrong.
For the Jubilee, baby.
Yeah, Scott was a true legend, and that guy's going to be missed for sure. Rest in power, Scott Alcohol Cost. We're going to end the episode here, 800, with Gangrene's Alcohol. I'd like to thank everybody out there who's listened to this show for the past 15 years. 15 fucking years, a long time. And, I've devoted a large portion of my life to this for some reason. I don't know. But I think it's because of the listeners, and I truly appreciate everybody out there who listens every week and supports the show and has been supporting the show for 15 years.
So salute to you all.
We'll be back next week with episode 801. Till then, take it sleazy. That was a fun episode. Thank you, people.
Hello to everyone who has been chatting on the live chat tonight. Hello to everyone.
Yeah, that was a good time. You guys should definitely check out that Max Hardcore interview. He gets into some crazy shit.
The unedited one. He was really fun to chat to. I could have chatted to him for at least another 2 hours. I was surprised.
We kind of had like that whole like old guy like grandpa telling stories, but it's like stories of like gaping assholes and speculums and girls vomiting in each other's gaping assholes.
Jesse.
Yeah, this dude, he was hardcore. And I tried to keep the best parts in it, but yeah, inevitably I had to cut out some stuff. So if you're a patron or whatever, you can go listen to the unedited version I'm going to post.
Warren, I really loved your message. I've said it like 4 times now.
Thank you, Warren. Yeah, thanks everybody for listening. It's good times. Good times.
You know what we're going to do now? So I'm half cut. I'm that far into a bottle of wine.
What a lush.
I have like 6 beers in the fridge as well. What have you drank? What are you drinking?
I drank.
He always maintains some form of control. It's usually me who gets.
I drank vodka Red Bull, almost the whole thing. I drank a thing of
is
beer.
it like pre-mixed? Oh, you mean
I just drank a bunch of Rockstar and then I just poured in the vodka.
Oh, I see.
Yeah, it's a very
So now we're gonna do the Patreon.
Now we're gonna do Patreon. So we're gonna get that out of the way. I do have some great news stories up for this week. Yeah.
Oh yeah, because I told everyone on Discord this. We might as well tell everyone who's listening now. We're not doing news stories from now on. It's just going to be the topic and then phone calls.
Yeah, we're trying to cut the length of the show down, but we're going to still do news on Patreon. So it'll still be around there.
Actually, Gino, I was dancing last night. I was dancing to Otis Redding last night till 6 a.m. I'm not doing it tonight. I lost today. I slept all day.
God, I got fucking loaded last night. I was hanging out with P-Town. We went to the Kibitz room and just got fucking wasted. You know what was funny? At one point, I was like, we're just sitting at the bar. I like the Kibitz room. Unfortunately, now everyone's fucking, you got to be masked again because of assholes that won't get
yeah, you were saying this because, right, so on Monday, it's our Freedom Day here. Freedom Day.
Freedom.
Yeah, it's like imagine
Our Freedom
Melbourne.
Day was July 4th when we were like, fuck you, England.
Well, it's like our Freedom Day. Imagine Mel
Freedom
Gibson
from what?
in
You
his
guys are the
shirt.
colonizers.
Freedom, like we don't have to wear masks anymore, even though my
Oh.
workplace has said it's mandatory. You've still got to wear masks, but we don't have to wear masks anymore if we don't want to. We don't have to socially distance anymore if we don't fucking want to. That's what they're saying. Everything opens up again. I'm excited for everything to open up again because I can go swimming. But other than that, it's like I'm still wearing a mask. Am I not wearing a mask?
I mean, you guys are kind of getting hit hard by the Delta variant.
We're
So are
getting
we.
absolutely fucked up the ass by the Delta variant. I don't know why. The only reason I think the government doesn't care is because it's the young people who don't pay tax. That's the only reason they don't give a shit about it.
I mean, I don't know.
But that's
my whole thing is.
political.
I was gonna talk about this on news though, but I got these statistics for people who. I looked up something. I read an article of people who feel that the election was stolen, and the number of those people who think the vaccine is a conspiracy. So it's kind of no, but for my opinion on that is good. Let them, the unvaccinated, die off.
Let them die.
I'm completely happy with that. In
This is
fact, I
funny,
think we
I
should
was saying
give them
this to
COVID.
someone. I was saying this to someone else the other day. I was like, all the people now who are like unvaccinated should catch because what is it? The Delta variant is deadly for young people. It's like the hospitals
so
are
is the
filled with
Lambda
young
one.
people, but that's not their fault. That the young people, they weren't allowed to get the vaccine over here. But the Lamborghini variant, like that one's supposed to be is it 2 times deadlier than the Delta and 2 times?
Yeah, and there's also a second version of the Delta variant that's also very deadly.
Delta 2? Delta the return?
I forget what they're calling it. I was reading about it, but there's like a second version of it.
Delta 2 is what I was
that's also still people who are vaccinated can catch it too.
The problem is that
the would have less symptoms.
So you've got less symptoms, but you've got
the severity won't be as high. If you're unvaccinated, you don't have the immunity to fight it off as much. But even if you're vaccinated, this Delta variant
can catch it. Yeah,
you can still catch it, and you can still get slightly ill.
Well,
but you're probably not going to have to be hospitalized.
I got my vaccine on Thursday, but just before I got that, 2 people on my Instagram who I know in their stories who were both vaccinated, they're both British and they're both my age, but not had the second vaccine, both got the COVID, both got the Delta, and they've been out of action for 11 days. One of them has been documenting every day and it's been really helpful in this.
That's why it's like these people that are saying it's a pandemic and everything. I mean, you're putting yourself at risk. So either take the gamble and think it's a pandemic, not get vaccinated. But what pisses me off about it is that's why you get the third wave and all that shit. But anyway, thanks everybody for listening. We're gonna sign off, and we gotta record the Patreon.
Yeah, thanks guys. Sorry for that little rant at the end.
Little rant. Kate's on her soapbox.
Have fun doing karaoke, mate. I wish I could.